Are you listening?
Welcome to another episode of the Nerf Report. My name is Bryant Chappelle, and on this week's episode, Google Stadia goes free to play, Apex Legends' next in-game legend has leaked, CD Projekt Red gives us an update on Cyberpunk 2077 DLC plans, and the road to the PlayStation 5 had its first stop this week. And trust me when I say this, PlayStation has some massive plans. But before we jump into any of that, your top headlines. First up, Xbox. This week, Microsoft held another episode of Inside Xbox. But due to the majority of the world being under quarantine, this episode was special. Inside Xbox Home Edition. And sure, it got weird when Phil Spencer was caught brushing his teeth, or when Graham Boyd was updating us on Gears Tactics while doing his laundry. And how could we not talk about Major Nelson preparing an immaculate 4-course meal? But in all seriousness, Xbox should be applauded for this episode. Because despite the obvious technical hurdles that were in the way of producing this episode, they were still able to make one hell of an episode. In fact, Microsoft gave gamers updates on games like Grounded, Obsidian's upcoming game where you are shrunk down to the size of an ant, and you must survive all of the challenges that being tiny brings your way. Xbox also announced that the ever-growing library of Game Pass titles will be expanding with games like Journey to the Savage Planet, Football Manager 2020, Mistover, Stranger Things 3 the game, Human Fall Flat DLC Thermal, the Alvastia Chronicles, and Yakuza Kiwami are all coming to Game Pass. But that's not all, because Xbox also revealed that the top-down brutal shooter game Hotline Miami, one of my top 10 favorite games, is coming to Xbox. And developer Rare gave us an update on the next monthly update for Sea of Thieves titled The Seas of Fortune, which allow pirates to become emissaries for one of the 4 major factions, along with adding new emotes, and for the first time ever, pirates can have cats as pets. That's right, strike fear into your enemies and rule the 7 seas with your brand new pet cat, Meowtony. Trademarked. I mean, I realize pirates don't believe in copyright and shit, but if any of you so much think of naming your pet cat Meowtony, I will sink your ship. I don't know about you, but times are tough. It seems like everywhere you look right now, there's just bad news. And at this point, I need a hero. I'm holding out for a hero till the end of the night. They've got to be strong, they've got to be fast, and they better be fresh from the fight. But until they arrive, this week, Google Stadia tried to make these tough times a little bit better. Stadia tweeted, "To help people connect with friends online and have some fun during these challenging times, we're opening up Stadia for everyone. You will also get 2 months of free access to Stadia Pro with some free games to play." New Stadia users can sign up at stadia.com, download the Stadia app on Android or iOS devices, and immediately play on your laptop, desktop, or Chrome OS tablet with your favorite USB-supported controller or mouse and keyboard. Currently, Stadia Pro members have access to games like Destiny 2, Grid, Guilt, the Serious Sam Collection, Spitlings, Thumper, and much more. Apex Legends is currently halfway through Season 4 of
Assimilation.
And this week, data miners were able to uncover the next in-game legend arriving at the start of the next season. Allow me to introduce you to LOBA. Well, in theory, you've already met LOBA because they were the child in that last trailer. You know, the one that saw their mother and father be brutally murdered by Revenant. Yeah, that one. And trust me, they probably have a big chip on their shoulder. According to the data miners, LOBA will feature abilities called Burglar's Best Friend, which throws a disc and teleports them to that location, Supply and Demand, which will allow you to choose the type of loot you want to receive, and it will automatically highlight that loot's location on the map. Eye for Quality allows LOBA to see through nearby walls for loot, and Black Market Boutique places a device that can steal all nearby loot. Now, LOBA is rumored to arrive in Apex Legends at the start of Season 5, which is being speculated to begin on May 5th of 2020. And finally, for our top headlines, Cyberpunk 2077. You know, there's nothing worse in gaming than picking up a brand new game, spending 4 to 5 hours while playing it, only for it to end prematurely and you're just sitting there smoking a cigar, disappointedly staring at the screen, asking yourself, was that it? Well, luckily for us, when it comes to Cyberpunk 2077, CD Projekt Red has plenty of plans for the game post-launch. According to the Video Game Chronicle, CD Projekt President Adam Kaczynski revealed that Cyberpunk 2077 will have no less DLC than The Witcher 3 had. And just in case you needed a refresher, The Witcher 3 featured 2 full story expansions and 16 DLC packs, which, if you're keeping track at home, the CD Projekt Red team is going to be extremely busy post-launch. Because following the release of Cyberpunk 2077 in September, the team will be working on 2 full story expansions, a multiplayer mode, and a PlayStation 5 Xbox Series X remastered version of the game. As the developer clarified this week that while next-gen patches will be available to those who bought the game originally on the current-gen consoles, PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X versions of the game will come later. Well, that's going to wrap up this week's top headlines. So without further ado, let's jump into this week's top story with the rundown.
Now for something completely different. Yeah.
The PlayStation 5. This week, PlayStation broke the internet when they revealed the PlayStation 5 controller. And while many assumed that Sony would continue to build upon the success of the DualShock controller, PlayStation obviously had different plans for this generation. Check out the first images of the DualSense wireless controller. The DualSense will feature haptic feedback inside of the controller's joysticks that is capable of simulating the slow grittiness of driving cars through mud, along with having adaptive L2 and R2 triggers that can change to different tensions that ensure shooting a bow and arrow will feel different than shooting a gun. PlayStation hopes that the new DualSense controller, combined with the PS5 Tempest 3D audio tech, will deliver a new feeling of immersion to gamers. And it's really interesting, because Sony seems really set on the idea of changing the way that we play video games. In fact, President and CEO of Sony Interactive Entertainment, Jim Ryan, stated, "The new controller, along with the many innovative features in PlayStation 5, will be transformative for games. Continuing our mission at PlayStation to push the boundaries of play, now and in the future." The many innovative features in the PS5. So, let's recap what we know. The PlayStation 5 will feature a state-of-the-art solid-state drive that will boot games in seconds, along with reducing the need for longer patch installs and over-duplicated game data. Top that with the 3D audio tech that promises to mimic surround sound without needing the setups that cost hundreds of dollars. And now we have a controller whose joysticks and triggers will bring a new feel to gaming. And for the most part, the majority of developers have already stated that the PS5 will revolutionize the way that games are developed. So this raises the question, what else could the PS5 do to change the way we game? Well, a quick look at Sony's recent patent filings would show things like patents for direct booting user interface, a voice-activated digital assistant, and the ability to detect users' heart rate through the controller. But these are just patents, and oftentimes companies file patents for ideas and do nothing with them. But for me, this next generation for Sony is all about services and content. Let's get real. PlayStation is currently the best place to game. The touted features of a console are great, but at the end of the day, content is king. And with this next generation, I think Sony needs to come out of the gate swinging, having overhauled their existing service offerings. Things like PS Plus, PlayStation Now, or even the PlayStation Network should be revisited. I mean, PlayStation was one of the OGs in cloud-based game streaming. Back in 2013, they bought Gaikai for $380 million and evolved that into PlayStation Now. But since then, PlayStation Now has kind of remained stagnant, With services like Stadia, GeForce Now, and xCloud joining the fold, PlayStation Now needs to reassert their relevance. And let's not forget, PlayStation Remote Play allowed you to stream games to other devices before anyone else did. But somehow, these two amazing features seem to be the most underutilized things on the platform. And when you talk about features that will revolutionize the way we game, I think that those two might be the biggest. Things like Stadia or xCloud are appealing because they make gaming easier and more convenient. The same could be said for the Nintendo Switch. Its popularity is mainly based on the fact that it's easy to use and convenient to travel with. If PlayStation overhauled services like PlayStation Now and created a service that allowed you to stream hundreds of games to any device, that would change the way people play video games immensely. No longer are you bound to the couch while playing games. Gone are the days where you have to pack up your PlayStation when you travel. In the next generation of gaming, if you want to play a PlayStation game, imagine how cool it would be if all you needed was a screen and a controller. And finally for this week, we come to that noise, of course, signifies that we are running out of time and coming close to the end of the show. So, in order to cover all the week's remaining news, we must jump into a segment that I like to call Every single week, we have so much news to talk about and so little time to do it. So we take all the week's remaining news, put 60 seconds on the clock, and try to cover it as fast as humanly possible without running out of breath, passing out, or dying! So, with that in mind, let's put 60 seconds on the clock. Thunder noise! And go. Saints Row 5 is still happening, according to developer Deep Silver. Xbox has confirmed that throughout 2020 they will only be holding digital events. So RIP XO20. Call of Duty Warzone has officially hit 50 million players worldwide. The ESA has announced that E3 2021 will be happening. It's not dead yet. No Man's Sky now has exomechs, so you can stomp on alien planets, destroying them now with a gigantic robot. Super cool. Beat Saber added a brand new song this week for free called Fitbeat. Echo, the next Overwatch in-game hero, will be arriving on April 14th. Rocket League introduced a brand new mode called Heat Seeker, in which the ball is automatically drawn to the goal and both teams must defend it. And finally, Destiny 2 is getting a brand new Nightfall difficulty called Grandmaster. Ooh, that sounds terrifying. Ladies and gentlemen, that is it for Nerfd in 60 seconds, and that is it for this week's episode of the show. If you like what you saw and you want to see more content just like it, hit that like button and please subscribe to the channel. As always, my name is Brian Chappelle. You are you, and this is the Nerf Report. Thanks for watching. The longer I stare at you, the more uncomfortable it gets. I'll stop staring as soon as you subscribe.